días, buenas tardes y buenas noches. Bonjour, bonsoir. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be. J. Slater case. And just a few updates, and then we're going to finish off yesterday's roast, the delayed roast of the Penningtons. Quick update. Last time I checked, there had not been a new post, no new post, no new video, no new short from Lord Lugworm. Excuse me. So it would seem that he is still, here we are, day three, I think it is, after his ignominious post, trying to say that the word aeroporto in Portuguese doesn't exist, trying to say aeroporto in Italian doesn't exist. That absurd post had also claimed that the bank statement I'd put out there was some kind of fraud translated from some other language. It's all genuine, absolutely. And yeah, I think we've reached, when you get the accident group saying fake, 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 they've reached the point of we can't actually prove our argument here, so we're left with just saying it's all fake. We've been through this. But yes, no updates from Lord Lugworm, so I guess he is still learning the Portuguese word for airport and the Italian word for airport, struggling because he hasn't really mastered that many words in English anyway, it would seem. So we wait with bated breath, we wait eagerly for any updates from Lord Lugworm on what he said last time about the purchase I made in the airport at Lisboa. Yeah, let's see what he comes back with. Um, I did notice, yeah, I'm sure you did too, that when Luggy did comment on my infamous pink shorts that actually were red at one point, they bleached and became pink or pinkish looking. I don't know if you remember, but for some reason, Luggy was quite precise about the price I'd paid. I think he said they were 40p shorts. 40p shorts. Okay. Actually, they weren't 40p. I think they were free because I didn't buy them. Someone else bought them for me. So for me, they were free. But interesting that Luggy too, rather like Gobshite, is one of those that puts a very materialistic label on everything. Like price means everything. And I'm not really sure what his point is. Because is he saying that I paid 40p for my shorts and Luggy paid, what, 10 times that price? 100 times that price for his shorts? Have we seen his shorts? Are his shorts so superior that they are kind of gold lame tiger striped, silk affairs or something like that? Is this another kind of Versace world that the Fishguard Fairy lives in? What are his shorts? What do his shorts cost? I'm just wondering. When he's prancing in the ring or boxing in the ring, I should say, um, with his extended fingernails out there, the tiger that he is the slug Tardo, some kind of chic artist in the ring. We haven't seen his shorts, so yeah, let's have a look at your boxers. Let's have a look at your boxer shorts. Slug Tardo and see just how much more than 40p yours cost. But I'm still kind of a bit lost on the point here. Maybe Sluggy's point is that he paid, I don't know, 100 times more than I did for his boxing shorts, and also he is 100 times less capable of boxing than I am. So you paid more and you got a lot less in return. Is that his point? Because we still haven't seen the videos of El Slugtardo boxing. All we've heard is he doesn't need to train. It's like riding a bike. Once you know how to box, you can beat anyone up in the world that you choose to, and that I would have lasted 1 second. I'm tempted to say this is kind of delusional. And that's why I was in the beginning kind of attracted to the idea of getting into the ring with the old fairy just to see what he can do, because I know what I can do. And I mean, let's be honest, if Luggy is 6'5" and a heavyweight terror, yeah, he would make mincemeat of me. Maybe not in a second, because I am very good with my movement around the ring. I mean, yeah, if you catch me in the corner, Luggy, and you are an absolute master of disaster, then you'll beat me. But something tells me that, as one of the followers said, Luggy can't even box eggs. But I don't know for sure. All I do know is people that go out there bragging, saying they can do this, they can do that. They don't show us any evidence. They tend to be the ones that can't actually do it. Just my observation. Anyway, we await updates from El Slugtardo. I did say I wanted to go back to Chris Pennington to finish off the roast. Here are a few quotes, and I will try to remember to put the links in the description to this video of where I got these from. It's always good to go back and listen attentively, word for word, what these people say. And I want to go back to Chris Pennington talking about this whole, if you're wearing trainers, you can't get out of the man trap. It's that simple. If you are not wearing trainers, if you have the proper hiking boots, you can and will get out of the man trap. Again, this is a very simple, infantile little world that is total bullshit. I mean, to be honest, I would love to go. Well, I wouldn't love to go down into the man trap with Chris Pennington. I lied. I would like, in an imaginary world, to have both Chris Pennington, Marika Krantz, the plumpish Dutch gal, the Sydney team, and her dog. Yeah, with the hiking boots on. I guess the dog has to have hiking boots and not trainers. So we've got Marika Krantz with her hiking boots, the Fleck the dog with his hiking boots, Chris with his hiking boots, and me with my trainers, and we're in the man trap. And Chris says, I can guarantee you, I bet you my whole life savings, all £120 of it, that the only person that ends up dead in the man trap is Smith in his trainers, and everyone else gets out because they've got hiking boots on. Because that's what he's saying. Here are the exact words. Once you're down there and you're in trainers, you're not scrambling back up. You're trapped. It's a man trap. You see, the qualification here is quite clear. Only those in trainers would ever be stuck in the man trap. Everyone else, no matter what their ability, no matter what their build, no matter what capabilities they have, would get out. Chris Bonington in trainers, stuck forever, destined to die in the man trap. Yeah. Peter Pennington, Peter the Plodder, Peter Pisspot Pennington, in his hiking boots. Oh, he could get out. He could get out because he's not wearing trainers. This is the stupidity, the lies, the gaslighting that we've had from day one from these cretins. And some of us have had enough of it, but we do have fun calling it out, don't we? Yeah, Chris Pennington. You're in trainers and you're stuck down there. Oh, put these hiking boots on. See you up at the Mirador for a cafe in 20 minutes. All right. Here's a good one. Chris Pennington. We've approached this using the facts, all in a sober-minded way. Well, pointing out the obvious here. Anytime Chris says the words sober-minded way, something ain't right. I mean, this is not the right phrase for Chris Pennington to use. Hours after saying sober-minded way, he's ranting, sloshed, two hennies to the head, and saying God knows what shite. But anyway, he said it, sober-minded way. We've approached this using the facts and in a sober-minded way. So let me ask you this, Chris. When you're using the facts, is it an example of using the facts when you try to get into the mind of Jay and tell us all what Jay was thinking? Is that the factual world you live in? That you can just get into the mind of someone and tell us all what that person's thinking? That's a fact, is it? Because in my definition, when you pretend to know what is in someone else's mind, someone you've never met, and you're calling that a fact, again, you're gaslighting us. You're full of bullshit. I mean, a lot of people out there laugh at tarot cards. Yeah? To me, a tarot card is a tarot card. It's a card. It can't be true. It's a card. It's an inanimate object. It can't be wrong. It's a card. It's an inanimate object. So for all of the accent group that laugh at tarot cards, well, at least a tarot card in my book has a 50-50 chance of getting it right. But I would say when you've got an idiot like Chris Pennington saying, well, I only go by the facts. By the way, let me tell you, now I'm in the mind of Jay, here are a few other facts for you. You must have gone left and not right. That is beyond stupid. It is just the most fictitious, non-factual world you could be in. There we have it. The guy that went by facts in a sober-minded way is also lecturing us on how he knows how Jay was thinking. It is that unbelievable. Here's another one. Put yourself in the mindset of Jay. What would he have done? Now, the situation we are talking about, and this is why you should try to see the video that I'll link in the description here. The situation we're talking about is Chris's premise. It's not a fact. It's a theory. We all have our own theories. Chris's theory is that Jay went off-road and kind of bashed his way down a shortish but very difficult, descent down to that path. And when he got to that path, he looked left. Jay looked left and saw it went down. Yeah. Path of least resistance. Or that the path went up. And the path goes up. Clearly it goes up back to that main road. It does not go back up and onto the mountains beyond. I say that because I've been there. I've stood there. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to be boots on the ground. Because I heard this, oh, well, Jay, in this situation, he would have looked right, and that path looks like it goes up into the mountains. It doesn't. It is bloody clear, Chris Pennington, that path goes right back to the road, because you can see those blocks that mark the edge of the road. So you've got the blocks marking the edge of the road. The path is leading up there. Anyone beyond kindergarten level, and maybe that's why you and Luggy couldn't figure this out, can see that road is going up to meet, that path is going up to meet that road. It is 100% clear. So stop gaslighting us on, well, if you don't go down the path of least resistance, you're looking at this path that goes up into the mountains. So you said, what would he have done in that situation? In that situation, standing right there, I am absolutely sure that Jay would have turned right and thought, I've just cut myself and scraped myself falling down 20 meters to get to this path. What a stupid ass I am. I could have just used this path to get here. I'm going to head back to the road because this is impossible. Absolutely, I'm convinced of that, Chris. So let me answer your question. What would he have done in that situation? Chris, he would have followed the path up to the right, back to that main road. End of. And then you ask, you ask your audience, what would you have done in that situation? Absolutely, I would have turned right, gone up the path, up the small incline, back to the main road. Walked along to the Mirador, had my cafe con leche, something to eat. If I'd been there a bit early, I would have waited for it to open. Absolutely, that's what I would have done. So when you keep asking us, what would we have done in that situation? Nearly everyone in the world, Chris, apart from your Looney Tunes group, would have walked back to the main road. End of. And then we get into belief. It's funny because we started off with Chris telling us the facts. He only goes by the facts. He, Luggy, Adrian, they only go by the facts. But then he starts talking about his belief. My belief is, he says, one day a hiker will get in trouble in that barranco and they'll have to be saved. And only when people go into it again, it being the barranco, only when people go into that barranco or ravine again, are we going to find Jay with a search party. That's what Chris said. That was his belief. And yet, 5 minutes later, Chris said he had found Jay, although he only got 500 meters away from Jay. He found Jay. Chris didn't have a search party. Chris didn't go back in that barranco. But his belief was blown out of the water when, lo and behold, no search party was needed, no extra military services from Spain need to be brought over with harnesses and winches and ropes. None of that was needed. In the end, it was just Chris. Called the Guardia Civil. I found him. So what happened to your belief there, Chris? How did that all come out so wrong? Let's finish it there. Plenty of roasting could always be done with Chris Pennington because he spoke too much. He talked too much. He just couldn't zip it. When he got all the attention, when he was answering all the comments online, when he was blabbing imbecilically about God knows what, yeah, he loved it. But now it's come back to bite him in his ever-expanding fat ass. He doesn't like it as much. He's now back hiding under a rock. Why? Because he can't handle it. All of this blabber about Johnny Vegas. Yeah, I'll meet you any in the. What was that? I'll meet you anywhere in the world, Johnny. Anywhere in the world, Johnny, I'll meet you. But this guy's just a searcher. He's just trying to help out the family. Why would he want to discredit Mark Williams Thomas? As someone asked, I think it was Perny. As Perny asked, what did Mark Williams Thomas say that at the time Chris knew was a lie? What was it? I think the point here is that when you have a detective, for the sake of argument, Mark Williams Thomas, detective, former detective, acting as a detective, investigator. When you have one of those people that's on behalf of the family digging into the background, seems to me the only person that would have a concern about that is someone that has something they don't want in the background being revealed. And that's why they have to discredit the detective. So the only question is, what is in the background that Chris was in a panic about? He had to link up with Johnny Vegas. And who does he think Johnny Vegas is? Is Johnny Vegas someone that Chris thought knew the truth on the street and Johnny and Chris had to come to an arrangement to somehow stop Mark Williams Thomas blabbing? I don't know what this is all about. I have no idea. Well, I do have an idea. It's something that connects Chris to a world he doesn't want revealed. Otherwise, why all the panic? We don't know what that world is. We could guess. But what is crystal clear to anyone that can see the facts of the matter? It's crystal clear that Chris Pennington was never just a searcher, a good Samaritan acting on the behalf of the family. He didn't dive into Francesca's lives demanding an audio because he's a good Samaritan just looking for Jay. He didn't pester Danielle asking questions like, well, how many people were in the car that went up to the Airbnb? Just because he's a good Samaritan looking for Jay. He's not out there saying, Johnny, I'll meet you anywhere in the world because he's just a good Samaritan looking for Jay. No, no. There's another agenda here. And we know there's another agenda here because no one in the accident group will even pay attention to it. They all ignore it. They pretend it never happened. And Peter Pennington in particular has never addressed this issue. It's his son that is gaslighting the world. And Peter's fine with it. Because if Peter had a thought that maybe this ain't 100% true, what his son is putting out there, he would have dealt with it. And that is why I insist Peter Pennington, too, is just as much a charlatan as his son. Because a decent father would have intervened to set the record straight. Peter's never done that. He never will do that. I allege that Peter is up to his neck in covering something up too. I don't know why, but otherwise Peter would have said, look, my son has been saying all this and doing all this for this reason. Never happens. That is why so many of us hold the Penningtons in such low esteem. Sorry, change of subject just to finish off. Yes, quite a few people fascinated by Gobshite's assertion that the likes of me couldn't afford her personal trainer. Yeah, you couldn't even afford my personal trainer. I want to turn to what Jay Smith said about personal trainers. It was pretty funny. Jay Smith said, yeah, the trainers probably when you join the gym, they show you around. And she took a sly pic saying she's got a PT. She's got a personal trainer. And it is odd. Why would a 50 something? How old is Gobshite? She's no spring chicken. How is it that a 50 something is sat down with her personal trainer and got a pic of the guy? Hey, personal trainer, is it all right if I take a sly pic of you? Yeah, you never know. After sundown, maybe I'll swoon over it. It is a strange one. Yeah, why the pic of the personal trainer? And I think it was also Jay Smith that said, just remember, a trainer is there to guide the slow ones who've never trained in their life. So here we have the boxing expert, Jane Elliott. We also have the Aikido expert, Jane Elliott, well versed in all manner of things in the gym. But, as Jay Smith points out, she still needs a personal trainer because she is part of the low level thinking brigade known as the accident group. Let's leave it there. Gotta go. I will say hasta luego, adios, hasta la vista. See you next time. Adios.